So let's walk through your class. How does it progress? Tell me how the first week goes, second week, third week. Be interesting to know.
Well, the first thing is when you watch television, I get a kick out of it because they dump everything in a horse's plate at once and expect him to sort it out. They talk foundation, 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 and they don't even know what the hell they're saying because they don't know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You watch them on TV, why are you talking it, but you don't know how to do it?
Right.
Foundation is association.
Okay.
And the order you do things can make it so simple and easy for a horse to understand just by doing things in the right order.
Well, I've been amazed just watching your class many times. I've been here many times just to watch you work with people, and I've been amazed. But I think they're more amazed, your students. I remember that one class you had, and they gave you a little surprise at the end of the class.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun, and that, I don't know, made me really feel good because I knew they're putting their heart into it.
There were like 10 of them or 8 of them, and how many were buckers and kickers? And
Well, the whole class was buckers and kickers.
Yeah.
Buckers, kickers, half of them had never been rode.
And in 3 weeks, they put on
Yeah.
one heck of a show for you.
John, like I've told students for years, 10 minutes of doing something right is better than 10 years of doing it wrong.
All right.
To the point where that video that we have online and stuff, I said to the students, I always ask for the worst horse. Who's got the worst horse for something? I said, who has the worst horse for fly spraying and hosing and this and that? And this girl almost fell out of her chair.
Mm-hmm.
I do it. She almost hit the floor. I had to laugh. I had to
Okay.
chuckle. She almost hit the floor. I says, tell me about it. She says, I've been trying to fly spray this horse for 2 years. 2 years she's been trying to fly spray this horse. You think she knew those 8 training techniques?
Not a one.
Not a one. In fact, it's on that video. I said, show me what you're doing. And it's on the video. I say, and she was sensitizing instead of desensitizing due to the lack of those 8 training techniques, not knowing them. She was making the problem bigger and bigger and bigger till she had a hole this big.
Let's talk about
By using
desensitizing them.
Well, by using those, not just desensitizing, John, there's 8.
Okay.
That's one.
All right.
By using those 8 training techniques, I fixed that horse in less than 10 minutes.
Amazing.
Totally fixed it. Had her doing it in less than 10 minutes, and she'd been doing it for 2 years wrong. 10 minutes of doing something right is better than 2 years of doing it wrong.
Okay. Let's get back to talking about the different animals besides horses that you have trained, like wild animals versus domestic animals. Talk a little bit about some of the other animals or the differences.
All right, John. I always knew I had a gift. I always knew that from a very young age that I had a gift. And I always prayed and asked God to teach me, show me, guide me, and help me.
Mm-hmm.
So I always took it on as a challenge. I always took it as a challenge, gift, whatever. I trained a lot of wild animals. I trained everything from timber wolves to cougars to bears and dogs.
Mm-hmm.
You remember Jerry Weiler. He owned K9 Dog Training Academy, and he also owned North Country Dog Training Academy. 17 years old, I walked in there with my dog, and he hired me on the spot to teach people.
Okay.
Pretty much beginner's obedience. He said, "You're on. You help me teach people." And he lost a bet with me, with my dog. And he owned a dog school, and he lost the bet.
Okay.
That's another story. But I've always been fascinated by training animals. I don't know why. I've just always been fascinated by training animals. And I took on a bunch of wild animals when I was young, just to see, to learn myself and see what was going on. And I'll tell you what, number one, what I learned playing with wolves, playing with bears. I trained a bear to play bye-bye, dance, smile, give you kisses. I trained wolves to heel, sit, stay, down, come. McKinsey timber wolves. They're as big as Great Danes.
Yes.
They're the big wolves.
Right.
And I'll tell you what happened. My kids were little. I have 6 kids. And my kids were little. And I was training this Mackenzie Timberwolf for friends of mine. And you know Paul Doring and Carla.
Right.
And I was training this wolf thing. Heel, sit, stay, down, come. And we had a pet goat that was the kids' pet.
Mm-hmm.
And that goat walked by that wolf one day. And that wolf killed that goat like that. By the neck. Faster than you could say killed that goat. That doggone wolf killed it. And now that wolf would heel, sit, stay down, and come for me like an obedience dog. And I always thought to myself, what if that would have been one of the kids?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Bottom line, when I look back, bottom line is leave the wild animals in the wild. We spend years and years and years trying to get what we want. Golden retrievers to retrieve ducks. You want to train a wolf to retrieve ducks?
I don't think so. They'll eat them.
What do we call them? Oh, heck. What is the breed I'm looking for? Australian Shepherds to herd sheep.
Right.
You want to train a wolf to herd sheep?
I don't think so.
You see what
Not
I'm
if
saying?
they eat goats.
Why? Why would you go against hundreds of years of genetics?
Right.
Why? It don't even make sense. Today, when I was young, I liked the challenge.
Right.
And I'm glad I took the challenge because I learned from the challenge. I learned a lot from wild animals. And people don't understand how good they have it with domestic animals. And let me tell you why. Domestic animals adapt to you. Wild animals, you have to adapt more to their ways.
Right.
Where a domestic animal, they adapt to you. Hundreds of years of genetics to get them to adapt to you.
Okay.
Why in the world would you want to go back to the beginning? It don't even make sense. Today, it did when I was young. I thought, oh, I like a challenge and da 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 da. But today, it don't even make sense.
Now, I know that you have trained wild Mustang horses too.
Oh, heck yeah. In fact, I was just talking to a student this morning. He wants to do Mustangs. I said, great. Sam, my friend Sam.
Okay.
I said, great, Sam, but let me tell you where that's going. Once you do it and people realize it, you're going to have your barn full of dink-ass Mustangs instead of golden retrievers.
Okay.
You're going to have your barn full of wolves instead of chocolate labs.
Right. I get the correlation.
See what I'm saying?
The correlation.
Sure.
Yes.
Once people realize you can do it, that's what they're going to want you to do. That's happened to me.
It's sort of dangerous too, right?
Yeah, genetics, oh my word. I couldn't talk enough about genetics. I could not. And that took me years to learn. When I was young, I'd bring them on. Bring anything on. I'll fix them. I'll train them. You know what I mean? And I did.
But they still have that wild sense to them.
Listen, I don't want a wolf for grandma's horse.
You're right.
I don't want a wolf for your grandkids.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, getting back to the class, how much does safety,
Oh my gosh.
I'll let you continue.
John, I got to tell you a good one. Every student that comes here, I tell them, you know you picked on the most dangerous sport there is. They go, how do you know that? What do you do? What? How do you know that? I says, I was watching a talk show on television. And that was their question. It was one of these question and answer games.
Okay.
Where you get the question right, you get points, whatever. And the question was, what is the most dangerous sport there is? I guess football. I thought with all the college teams, all the high school teams, all the pro teams, I thought it's got to be football. You know what the answer was?
No.
Everyday horseback riding was the answer, according to insurance companies.
Amazing.
Yeah. You know what I thought of? Lack of knowledge again. These people are trying to ride horses. They're mismatched. They don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they do for a living, but they're not horse trainers. They just lack of knowledge is getting these people hurt.
So in other words, these so-called horse whisperers, these other trainers are more salespeople than they are trainers. Is that what you're...
Well, you said them all full, cowboy.
Okay.
You said them all full. I watch them on TV all the time going, you haven't got a clue. You have not got a clue.
But they're selling a lot of product.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
It's sad, John. It's sad.
So do you feel like safety is maybe the most important part of?
Well, but along with safety comes knowledge. Because if they had the knowledge, they'd be a lot safer. Your best insurance is not all these companies like Geico and Allstate and whatnot. Your best insurance is right here. What you know and do, the order you do things, and keeping that horse wanting to be with you and wanting to be happy with you and wanting to please you. That's something you do that people don't understand.
Okay, this order
You should be their best friend.
Okay, this order you're speaking about, can you talk a little bit about the order of how you train the horses, how they should be trained?
Oh my gosh. It's almost comical. As I watch them on TV, foundation, foundation, foundation. But they don't know how to do it. They don't know that this is the beginning, which sets up the next thing, which sets up the next thing, which sets up the next thing. They don't understand that order at all. Okay. And it's hard to get into it in depth because I'm like trailer loading is different than slide stops, which is different than side passing, which is different than hind and forequarter turns. But they don't understand that the order, you can set up the next thing so the horse already understands it before you get there. Long before you get there. Remember I was telling you about jumping in the truck?
Right.
The average time is less than 2 seconds because the horse understands it before you get there because he did things in the proper order.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So what happens in the first week of your class? Is it...
All right. That's a good one, John.
All right.
And let me tell you why. When I think of the first week, I look at the students, not the horses.
All right.
We're talking kindergarten. I want to get these guys to college.
Okay.
But you can't do it the first day. You got to get them to kindergarten.
Okay.
It's called kindergarten. I've been
right.
corrected by students. You got to get them to kindergarten before you can get them to first grade, before you can get them to second grade, before you can get them to third grade. And the real problem, again, is not the horses, it's people. You got to get people to understand. You got to get people to understand.
So that first week is a lot of just jumping from kindergarten to first, second.
Well, I got to make sure, you know, I like to watch Pastor Murray on TV.
Okay. He's
my favorite. Shepherd's Chapel, 224 is the number. And he always says, Pastor Arnold Murray, you can't teach beyond your worst student. Your slowest. I shouldn't say worst. I should say slowest student. Therefore, if your slowest student's in second grade, you can't teach college.
Right.
So I got to get the whole class up to par. Okay, do you understand the basics before we get a little more advanced? And the same is for horses. Not just students, but horses. A lot of times I teach horses simple things so the hard things become easier. If you teach a horse something simple, hey, I like to learn. This is fun. I want to learn from Larry. Let's learn more. So the harder things become easier, just like students. It's funny, John, because I teach students just like I teach horses.
So the horses are going through grades then too. They're starting in kindergarten.
Oh, that's a fact. That's a fact. You start, a lot of times I've had horses that were unruly. I had one I can think of right now, belonged to a good friend of mine, John Hopkins and Tammy from Colorado. And this horse almost killed 2 trainers. You think that horse was having fun?
No.
You think he enjoyed people?
It doesn't surprise me.
You think he enjoyed people, John?
No.
That's your job as a horse trainer. I had a student come here and look at this list up here that we're not showing.
Right.
It's for us. They said, my neighbor's a horse trainer, and there's no way a horse could learn that in that amount of time because he will short circuit. Now, when you've been around horse people as long as me, you learn to read between the lines.
Mm-hmm.
If that horse is short circuiting, guess what? You're screwing up.
Yeah, they forgot about kindergarten,
Yeah,
first grade,
exactly.
second grade.
You're getting ahead of the horse. You're
Right.
talking too much on him. You do it in steps. Inch by inch, anything's a cinch.
You got it.
Inch by inch, anything's a cinch. And I can't believe these so-called trainers that don't know the proper order to do things. It blows my mind. They talk it. They get on TV and they talk about it, but they miss it. I'm going, are you kidding me?
Yeah. So Larry, I've known you for a long time, and I know you are a true horse whisperer. What makes you different than other trainers?
I could sum that up with one word: knowledge.
All right. What are some of the things that you've taught horses to
John?
do that other trainers could never do?
Oh, heck, John. I could train a horse to do anything physically possible. I don't care what it is. And that's what my school's about. I consider it a 3-week challenge to teach you how to train a horse to do anything physically possible. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's sit like a dog and talk like Mr. Ed when you put a microphone in front of him and quit talking when you pull the microphone, or slide stops or side passing, or it don't matter. I consider it a 3-week challenge to teach you how to train a horse to do anything physically possible, to the point where I had a student come here and she went home and made up 20-some things she taught her horse to do. Pulled them out of the air.
By learning your program.
Exactly, because you learn how a horse's mind works. How do you get into their mind? How do you get them to want to please you? This is how you do it. And then if she went home and made up 20-some things, she does shows and exhibitions.
With what she learned here.
Exactly.
Amazing.
We teach you how to think like a horse, how to get in their mind, how to train a horse to want to please you. You can make up things. I've taught horses to sit. I've taught a pony to dance on 2 legs, and he'd stay in the air for almost a minute and smile.
Really?
I've trained horses to sit down like a dog and talk like Mr. Ed. I've trained horses to go open the cooler and bring you a soda. I've trained horses to rope themselves with a lariat. Whatever you want to teach them, if it's physically possible, it's not a problem. It's just understanding how their mind works and how to get into their mind and get them to want to please you.
What do you basically call that program then that you're doing?
A gift from God.
Okay.
A gift from God would be my bottom line there.
I know when we watched this movie and there was a horse that sat in it, and you explained how they made this horse look like he actually sat down.
Yeah. It was Shanghai Noon.
Okay.
And Owen Wilson and Jackie Chan. You're right. And I watched that movie and I tell students about it because Jackie Chan sits like this and never moves. And when I watched it, my thoughts were, no, they played that in reverse. They made it look like the horse sat like a dog. But what they did was, most trainers for years, when I was a kid growing up, you teach them to take a bow, play dead, and sit when they go to get up. So you teach them to take a bow, play dead, and then sit when they're going to go to get up. And what they did was, when that horse got up, they filmed it backwards. So it looked like, that's why Jackie Chan never moved. And I watched that film and thought, how hard would it be to teach one to sit from the standing position? It's actually easier.
Well, how does a horse actually get up? They get up from their front legs, right?
Yeah, horses get it. As a rule, John.
Okay.
I seen a gaited horse in my class get up back end first. And I'm like, wow, are you kidding me? And a gaited horse on top of it. They're not known to be athletic. But it was a gaited horse that actually got up butt first, and I couldn't believe it. But cattle get up the opposite.
Right.
Horses get up front end first, cattle get up back end first.
So this movie, that horse was actually getting up. And they showed him sitting down.
Did.
They ran the film back.
And when I watched that, I caught it right away, being an animal trainer my whole life. I caught it right away, and I thought, I'm going to go home and teach them to sit from the standing position, which is actually so simple. It's sickening. The first one I did took 10, 15 minutes. I had them sitting, and it's not that tough. It really isn't.
But isn't that one of the hardest positions a horse doesn't really want to do?
Well, number one is, I cheated. The horse I used already trusts me.
Okay.
Horses learn to learn. I've already done a bunch of other things with them, like yes, no, smile, give kisses, count, take a bow, play dead.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Fetch, whatever. So he already knew me and trusted me. So the horse I took, I don't think it took 10, 15 minutes because he already knew and trusted me. Horses learn to learn.
Right.
Everything you do makes the next thing easier. because it gets them to focus on you. Gets not only are you their best friend, but they want to please you.
Well, that's the best way.
Oh yeah.
I know you've also trained a lot of police horses for crowd control.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
How many have you sent out, you think?
I couldn't even count them, John. I did all the horses for Barbados Police Department. And I did them for other police departments all over the United States. And you know, it's funny, John, because people look at our school and they think, well, you're into police horses and trick horses. No. My favorite horses to train are reining horses and calf roping horses. But there's no market.
Oh, okay.
Those are my favorite. I like to train calf ropers because you have to teach the horse to think for himself. Keep the rope tight. Keep it straight. If the calf goes this way, you go this way. You have to teach the horse to think for himself. And that's my favorite. But the problem is, calf ropers don't have no money, so there's no market.
Okay.
You know? But that's one of my favorites. And I like training trick horses because I like to do things other people haven't done. You know, make up things and do them. And I like training trick horses. But the market really is what you're talking about. The market is good, solid, safe horses. Everybody grew up with Roy Rogers, Fury, and Flicka. Now they want to have that horse. Their mortgage is paid for. They're our age group, and they want to have that horse. Due to lack of knowledge, they're getting spankings.
Right.
And they just want to have fun.
And they want a good, solid horse that's safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's your school.
You know what? I never pushed that. I never promoted that. But I would guarantee you it's the safest program in the industry. Due to knowledge. Due to people understand A, B, C, D, not jump into M or Z and get hurt.
Okay. That makes total sense. Let's talk about your stallion that you have, Buddy, and some of the tricks that he can
Well, he's one of my studs. Then I got his dad, Uzi.
do. Okay.
And then his dad finally passed away, but that was Mr. Goldfever. And I've always liked stallions. I don't know. Myself, I like stallions.